Hi, I'm Richard Watts, founder of HR Maritime. Welcome to Commodity Brief, the show all about commodity trading in partnership with Duke's Copy TV. In this 3 episodes, we're focusing on the different types of commodities. We've broken it down into agricultural commodities, into metals, ores and minerals, and also into oils and liquid commodities. And so when we're looking at oils and liquid commodities, what we're really focusing on is crude oil and also refined products. There are also an awful lot of other liquids which are traded, things such as palm oil, different types of oil and different types of fruit juice, different types of wine, things like that. But what we're really focusing on is the oil that's being traded in such massive quantities around the world. Now, if we're going to be talking about oil, it's important to look at the recent price movements that we've seen in oil over the last couple of months. And so everybody's aware of this massive drop that we've seen in the price of oil, and this has had a big impact on the production of oil and the overall trade of oil. Now, interestingly enough, for trading companies, it's not actually as bad as you might think, because for companies that are producing oil, then yes, their revenues have reduced substantially. But for companies which are trading oil, then they are normally looking at the fluctuations in price, the volatility in the market, and so for them, this can actually be seen as quite a positive thing. And also there's a simple fact that for the same amount of financing, at these prices, we can transport and trade a lot more cargo. So when we're looking at oil, we can transport it in many different ways. We have road transportation, which is used for getting the oil to our petrol stations. We have train transportation, which is used in countries which have very large land masses, and we transport in very large quantities by train. And then we have sea transportation, which is the way the large majority of oil is transported. Now, when we're looking at the overall path of oil from the production to our actual doorsteps or to the petrol station, it's important to look at all the different steps that we have. So we start off and we might have the oil rig drilling for oil down in Azerbaijan in this case. And then we might have an oil pipeline which will transport the oil through to a port, and then we might have a refinery. And so the cargo, the crude oil, will be refined from crude oil into petroleum products. And then onwards, we might load it on board of an ocean-going vessel, which would carry the cargo up to another port. And then we might load it on board of a tanker truck. And then it finally gets to a petrol station in Geneva. And so for something that we take for granted, we go to a petrol station, we fill up our cars, the actual route from start to finish is actually very, very complicated. So when we're looking at the types of vessels we use for transportation of oil, we generally break it down into 2 different types of oil. First of all, we have crude oil. And so when we're looking at crude oil, we're using crude tankers. These are vessels which are designed to carry very large quantities. We do not have to separate the different types of cargoes loaded on board because they're just one type of cargo, and they are designed for the volume transportation. We also have what we call product tankers, and these are designed for carrying different types of refined products, and they are designed so that we can load on board the same vessel different types of products and keep them properly segregated one from the other. And the most specialized of these vessels can carry very, very specific chemicals and keep them absolutely separated one from the other. So whenever we're looking at oil trading, we also unfortunately have some vessels which are less than perfect. This particular vessel was trading in West Africa a couple of years ago, and we would not allow it into the waters in Europe. And hopefully these type of vessels are slowly going to disappear. So we also have to look at different issues with the oil, and one of the main things is contamination. Contamination, we have to be very careful about the specification of the oil, and so in this case we have to be careful of the colour of the actual oil, and there are different ways in which the oil can be contaminated and the colour can change. Also, we have to mention that one of the big risks is oil pollution, oil spills. Fortunately, with a lot of the advances that we've had over the last couple of years, the number of oil spills has decreased substantially, and our ability to respond to these spills has increased substantially. So they are causing a lot less damage to the environment. And as I said originally, we have the fluctuations in oil, and this is a risk which has to be managed. So the trading of oil is a vital part of our economy, and oil is traded in very, very large quantities. So that brings us to the end of this episode of Commodity Brief in partnership with Dukascopy TV, and I hope that you will click back soon and join us for the next episode. Thank you very much.